Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Disappointing effort from the Minnesota Twins yesterday as they wrapped up their series with the Mariners. Brooks Lee got them on the board here in the bottom half of the fourth inning with a little duck snort to right field to score a couple of runs and give them a 2-1 lead. Twins are going for the series victory yesterday afternoon. Their bullpen came back to get him again. Cole Young, who we featured yesterday on the show, RBI double. That makes it a 2-2 score. Anthony Bonda couldn't get anybody out. But the Twins put a rally together. Bottom of the eighth, Victor Caratini, RBI single to score. James Outman, Twins lead it 3-2. But again, bullpen couldn't get anybody out. Young goes back up the gut. That will score 2 runs. Mariners add a sac fly to make it 5-3. The Mariner bullpen did its job as that ends the game. A 5-3 Seattle win as they take the series 2-1. Once again, Twin bullpen gets them. They've lost 11 of their last 13. They continue their homestand tonight. The Blue Jays will come in to open up a 4-game set at Target Field. Kevin Gausman, who routinely the Twins have beaten up, will go for Toronto. Bailey Ober will be on the mound for Minnesota. Just going back a little bit to yesterday, as we say good morning, everybody, and welcome to Hot Mic on this Thursday, the final day of April, the 30th, 2026. I am Dom Izzo, host of said show. If you thought, well, gutting the bullpen and everything will be just fine, that was pie in the sky thinking of whoever they could plug in will develop them, just like the guys that we got. No, that is proven not to work here through the first month of the season. Yesterday being another prime example of that, where they let a quality start from Taj Bradley. Was great. 7 innings, struck out 7, and got frittered away because combination of Bonda, Orsi, and Rogers couldn't get it home. And once again, another game goes by the wayside for the good guys here. Just looking quick at stat-wise pitching, just looking bullpen ERAs right now. And I know that gets inflated because they don't face enough guys. Topa, I would not have picked as the low ERA guy at 3.55, right? Bonda, who they brought in from the Dodgers because he throws strikes, has not. He's walked 4 guys in 12 innings. I'm not a great math mind, but that's way too high. Eric Orsi has walked 6. Funderburk has walked 9. Cole Sands has walked 4. Taylor Rogers, 6. Andrew Morris, 3. I mean, you can't come in and put guys on base because automatically, most times, you're coming in with guys on base. You just are adding fuel to the fire here for rallies to continue. And that has been, I mean, you take, I'd say at least 4, maybe even 5 games where the Twins have got pretty good to quality starting pitching, and it has been just totally wasted with what the bullpen has done. So you get what you pay for, and that's what's happening with the Minnesota 9 right now. New series starts tonight against Toronto, and that seems to be on the scale or the ranking of important things going on in the Twin Cities at about 10, because tonight could be historic for Minnesota professional sports. And I don't throw that around lightly, but it is fact that tonight the Minnesota Wild and the Minnesota Timberwolves could clinch playoff series on the same day. And that has never happened before in the history of either franchise. That the Wild, and maybe not that astronomical to believe, considering the Wolves were terrible for a 15-year stretch, and the Wild were solid, but never before, 10 miles apart, that the Wild and Wolves have never advanced past the first round in the same season, and it could happen tonight. For the Wolves, it is Game 6 tonight after what happened in Game 5 with the 25 turnovers, the constant just giving Denver the ball willy-nilly. Now it's back tonight at Target Center, 8:30 on ESPN. Again, Denver is a solid favorite to not only win tonight, but win the series after the injuries to Anthony Edwards and Dante DiVincenzo. Yesterday, here's Wolves head coach Chris Finch addressing what happened in Game 5 and what they need to do to win tonight.
I think we got to work a little harder to get our shots. We didn't really do that. So.
Is the poor spacing, I mean, obviously a byproduct a little bit of Ant and Dante not being there. Can there be other ways to breathe that back in without that?
Honestly, I didn't feel it was had anything to do with those guys. I thought it was just, guys not really paying attention to where they were on the floor. So little details like that, kind of got in each other's way. It happens when you kind of go off script too much offensively. People don't know where to go because they're trying to react to you, and then you're not really in good spots. So.
Chris, Ant and Dante can check a lot of boxes for you guys, and now you have guys who can generate good offense and other guys who can hit tough shots. You have guys who can play good defense and other guys who can turn it into transition. How do you prioritize the either or sometimes?
Yeah, that's part of figuring out the lineup combinations right now. For sure. I think Game 5, if nothing else, served as a good way to look at a few things with different combinations, and also get some of those guys like the Jalen's and the TJs and the Kyle even a little bit more comfortable with game plan execution and finer points of the game right there. So, but even guys who had been playing major roles in the series didn't really kind of execute at the level we needed to either. So, but yeah, so that's certainly something that we got to look at is which combinations of guys we decide to put out there.
So Finch has already put the hammer down to challenge Terrence Shannon Jr. Because I think they know what he can bring offensively. Defensively, it's a train wreck, and they need him out there. They need Shannon to play because of what they have lost with DiVincenzo and Edwards out. You have to know it's going to be completely bonkers in there tonight, because I think in our heart of hearts, the Wolves know they got to hit tonight, because they do not think in any stretch of the imagination they think they can go to Denver Saturday night and win a Game 7. They've already pulled that rabbit out of the hat once. Without those two guys, that would be quite the hill to climb. And here's a crazy stat as well. We're talking on the fact that the Wild and Wolves haven't had a chance to do this advance in the same season. For the Wolves, you can count on one hand, this is from the Star Tribune, the number of times the Wolves have had a chance to close out a series at home in the franchise's existence. Tonight will be the 5th time the Wolves will take the floor at Target Center with the ability to move on in a playoff series. It happened first in 1998 when the Wolves were up 2-1, the best-of-5 series against Seattle. The 7th-seeded Wolves lost Game 4 and then lost Game 5 in Seattle. 2004, Wolves closed both of those series victories at home. They won Game 5 against Denver in the first round. They won Game 7 against Sacramento, one of the more memorable games in the history of the franchise, on their way to the conference finals for the first time. And as I mentioned earlier in the week, the only time in this last little stretch the Wolves have clinched at home was last year in Game 5 against Golden State in the second round. They swept out Phoenix. They won on the road. Star Tribune adds, it should be noted the Wolves have won 2 play-in tournament games at home. 2022, they became the 7 seed over the Clippers. That was the famous Pat Bev game when he was standing on top of the scorers table after they won. The Inside the NBA guys ripped him after that they won the NBA Finals. And then 2023, when they beat OKC, that was days after – that one I'll never forget. That was days after Kyle Anderson and Rudy got into a fight on the final day of the season, and Jaden McDaniels punched the brick wall to break his hand. And then a couple days later, they came back and beat OKC. That was before OKC was what they are now. They became the 8th seed, and then, of course, they lost to Denver in 5 games in the first round. That was the same week they lost to the Lakers, or they could have been the 7, because the Lakers ended up going all the way to the conference finals that year. I digress, but that point be that they haven't had many opportunities. Here's the crazy part. The Wolves have never won a series in 6, ever. If they've won, they've either swept, they've won in 5, or they've won in 7. So they have the opportunity tonight to get a lot of baggage out. And frankly, maybe get a chance, if they're able to win, then you're not starting the second round till Sunday or Monday. So you give Ant a couple more days that maybe by, who knows, Game 3, Game 4 against the Spurs, then maybe he can come back. Maybe. Meanwhile, for the Minnesota Wild, boy, you talk about baggage. It was 11 years ago that they last won a playoff series. That was when they beat the St. Louis Blues. Think about that. It's 11 years, and they've been to the playoffs plenty of times and have crashed out. 2014, they won that Game 7 in overtime on the road against Colorado. That was the Nito Niederreiter goal. Remember that? I was about right over here in the old sports office watching that one go down. They lost to the Blackhawks that year in the second round. Then they beat the Blues the following year in 6 games, lost again to Chicago. That was 3 years running. That it's like what the Wolves and Nuggets have now is the Blackhawks and the Wild had that. They played in 13, 14, and 15 in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now, since 2016 to 2025, the Wild have made the playoffs 8 times and lost 8 times in the first round. Tonight, chance to maybe change that. Grand Casino Arena will be the site for game number 6 tonight. Note the start time. For you complaining over the last 2 weeks, it's 6:30 tonight. That game on TNT for opportunity for Minnesota to knock out the Dallas Stars and get to the second round in a date with Colorado. The Avalanche is sitting there like, hey, you guys want to play 4 overtimes tonight? You want to play multiple overtimes on Saturday? Go for it. We're sitting here with our feet up because we haven't played in a week after they swept out the Kings. It has been everything we thought and then some between these two teams. Now, Minnesota went in and played a dominant game on Tuesday in Dallas. I don't think they wavered at all in that game. They were the better team throughout in that matchup on Tuesday. Can they carry that momentum over to tonight? You have to imagine. If you thought Target Center is going to be nuts, the place formerly known as the X is going to be crazy tonight. And that leads to our poll question for today, because I've had this bandied about. We were looking yesterday on StubHub just for the get-in price. What's the amount of money just to get in the building, either at Target Center or at the X for the games tonight? Target Center, we saw, if you want to sit up in the upper tank, probably about $75, $80 if you want to be up in the upper tank there. Grand Casino Arena was probably a bit more than that, about $110, $115. Now, that's just if you're in the building. If you are, if you want to be close, you better be ready to spend some. If you want to get by the bench and yell tonight at Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, you're going to be spending over $1,000. If you want to pound on the glass tonight and yell at Jason Robertson, you're paying over $1,000, probably close to that. It decreases a little bit the further away you are from each, but still, it's pretty hefty. So, poll question today, and this depends, I think, on how hardcore of a fan you are of said team. Let me move this over so we can read it a little bit better on the screen there. There you go. How much would you spend to watch your favorite team clinch a playoff series in person? $100 or more? $200 or more? $500 or more? $1,000 or more. Now, this will elevate depending on where you live. Like, I can tell you already, Madison Square Garden, if you wanted to go see the Knicks play, you're paying way more than $1,000. That's just the way it is. And if there is a Game 7 with them and the Hawks, which would be, I believe, Saturday night because they play tonight in Game 6, yeah, those prices are going to be exorbitant. Now, I have always contended, and I had an opportunity for this, whatever it was now, 11 years ago, when the Mets made the World Series. A couple buddies of mine got tickets to go to Citi Field. I had a standing invite. It was, for one game, wasn't for the 3 games in New York, it was for one. That was north of $500 to sit. That didn't count. I still had to get there, all that. It was almost impossible because it was during football season and I couldn't get away. But I was tempted. And I can tell you this, I've already told this to my wife, that if the football gods ever were to shine on the New York Football Jets and they make it to the ultimate game, I'm going. I don't care what the price would be on that. And I know it's going to be north of anything here. Between ticket, airfare, I got to stay somewhere. You think you might want to eat a couple days when you're there. Yeah, that has been set aside. That's in the untouchable vault in the bank account, that if it ever would happen. But that's to me. If I were, how big of a fan I would be if I would have spent on this kind of money, I don't know. But that's our poll question today. I'd be interested to see what people are willing to shell out. Because tonight, like I mentioned, and I bet you there'll be some crazies that will go to both, that will start at the Wild game tonight and finish at the Wolves. The time barring overtime, that you could get from the Wild game ends about 9:30-ish, that you could get to St. Paul or Target Center probably by the third quarter goes, because the Wolves game isn't starting until 8:50. Let's just call it like it is. Yeah, you could do both. You could see the Wild game and catch the second half of the Wolves. I bet you there will be people doing that. We got a packed show coming for you here today on a busy Thursday morning. Our guest lineup is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Coming up 9:35, friend of the show, Chris Meier, will be here in studio to talk about really big benefit for his family and his son, Bo, that is coming up this weekend. We have been in touch with the Meier family since basically almost a year ago, where their whole family, their lives were changed irrevocably after an accident with their son, Bo. Chris will give us an update on how Bo's doing. He's been home, I want to say now, for about 5 months after spending time at Craig Hospital in Denver. Excited to have Chris here to chat coming up at 9:35. Sam Goetzinger will be by in his usual time slot at 10. Plenty to chat about what we just did with the Wild and Wolves tonight. We'll chat some golf with our guy Sam as well coming up in our second hour. And Jory Collins is with us today at 10:35, North Dakota State women's basketball head coach, as we will discuss the seems like impending NCAA tournament expansion, also about the additions to his roster that have gone down this offseason. So we'll do that with Jory coming up at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Thursday morning. So we'll take our first break. We come back, explain a little bit more about the CW ESPN thing tomorrow that went down yesterday that involves NDSU football. We'll do that and a heck of a lot more. Glad you're joining us. Hot Mike returns after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. We're off and rolling here on a Thursday morning show. Chris Meier will join us in about 10 minutes' time. Looking forward to our conversation with Bo and Landon's dad coming up here in just a few minutes. Okay, so yesterday when we were on, we were discussing the announcement that the CW put out in conjunction with ESPN about Mountain West football games and a bunch of other CW television sports properties that are going to be able to stream through the ESPN Unlimited app. Now, I tweeted this out before the show yesterday, and it caused some rancor or at least some confusion on, because I think some fans thought, well, wait a minute, do I have to get this to watch the games? So, and that's, you don't if you get the CW. So I made a graphic this morning to try and explain this as simple as possible. So here's how it lays out for this upcoming season. Here are the TV options as of now. I'm hopeful WDAY is going to be in this mix as well. We don't know as of yet. But these are the ones that we know of as of April 30th. One is Fox, which is Big Fox, is the Mountain West Championship game. They have that exclusive. They also will put games on Fox Sports 1 and Fox Sports 2. So if you're watching when you've cut the cord and you don't have those, you can stream them through the Fox Sports app. CBS Sports Network will also have games. They'll have games on, they'll have 15 games. One of them will be on CBS as well. But if you want to stream that, that'll be through the CBS Sports app. The CW Network will obviously have games. They're bringing 13 Mountain West games this upcoming year. Now, the CW is one of those that is available over the air. So, again, if you have the CW over the air through either antenna or you have it through your cable or satellite package, you're good. You don't have to do anything. You'll be able to get the games that way. Now, the KISWE part of this is new. That's the app that the league is going to go through. From what we're told, there's going to be some exclusive games there. That's going to be something separate than the other networks that I just mentioned. That will be something you'll have to purchase if you want to watch said games there, if North Dakota State has any put on that streaming service. And obviously the last is the ESPN Unlimited. That's for streaming only of the games that are on the CW. I get it's a lot, and I get it's going to be a lot of money that you have not shelled out before to watch the Bison play. For those that are out of our viewing area that watch or listen to this show on a daily basis, then you know exactly what I'm talking about because you've had to do this already, whether it's to watch the Bison previously. It's been through ESPN Plus. You have been able to watch certainly the Missouri Valley Football Conference games there and a handful of non-conference games. The non-conference road games has been shakier as of late because of other agreements. But last year, if you want to just go through the schedule off the top of my head, like we did the Citadel game, which that was also available on ESPN Plus. The Tennessee State game was available on ESPN Plus, and then we had SEMO here and St. Thomas here for non-conference games, and then the rest of the league was on ESPN Plus. That is not how it's going to be in 2026. The one-stop shopping, like, hey, I just have ESPN Plus, I'm good, I'm going to be able to watch the games. That's not how it's going to work. I'm going to tell you that right now. Because we'll know about a month from today, we'll have at least the first 3 football games and maybe a couple others for NDSU's television destinations for a few of their games to start next football season. But this is where you're going to be able to find them for the most part. CBS SN is scheduled to have 15 games. Fox is scheduled to have 12, and the CW with 13. Got a great math mind. That adds up to 40 of the Mountain West games. There'll be others still available for local networks to pick up, as we've been told. We're hopeful that we're going to be able to do a couple here, but at least that's what we know as of now. So just to try and explain this again, and we'll do this, I would say probably monthly between now and August 29th when the Bison season opener gets ready for Jacksonville State. Because I think of all the topics that we've talked about on this particular subject in terms of NDSU and the Mountain West Conference, this is the one that is the most convoluted. It is the most different than what fans have been used to. Fans have been used to, hey, I put the game on Channel 6. Previously, I put the game on Channel 11, and I know the Bison are going to be there. That is not going to happen this time around. And there's going to be times you're not going to know when they play and what network they play on until about 10 days before. That is also part of now being in the big boy division. And we will try and help as best we can. I'm going to try to avoid any phone calls to come my way once the season begins. But no, that's probably inevitable because it's just there's going to be a lot of hand-holding goes on this. We'll do our best we can to let you know on it. But that's at least a little tutorial. We'll do more on it, I would say, once a month, especially once we start getting a little bit of the morsels will start coming. Once May is here, right? May starts tomorrow. The TV networks are going to start meeting with their advertisers. Once that happens, they'll start getting football games out. The NFL schedule will be out, I would imagine, in the next 2 weeks. College football big games are going to start dripping out. It's going to be a slow drip of releases until the end of the month, and that's when all the TV networks normally release the first 3 weeks of the season. So you've waited this long. We got a little bit longer to go, but we'll try our best to explain where and when you can watch the Bison play football this upcoming fall. And hopefully there'll be a few on WDAY as well. All right, let's break. We come back. Friend of the show, Chris Meier, will join us here in studio about a benefit coming for his son and his family. The community is rallied around. We'll tell you about that when Hot Mike returns here on a Thursday morning. We're back after this. Welcome back, everybody. You know, I've been fortunate to do this gig for a while that you run into people that end up becoming friends, colleagues. Some become attached more than you ever would anticipate. And for our next guest in studio, I would say that's all our relationship to a T, because I can remember it was covering it for my job that the Fargo Dirt Dogs were playing in the championship in 2018.
Yeah.
And go and win it. And I remember I was talking to you, Chris Meier, on the phone from Massachusetts after you guys won with your sons being part of that team. And we've been friends, ever since. And it's beyond covering. Your sons have obviously been in the spotlight since and continue to be. And it's great to have you here. It's been quite almost 365 days.
Yeah.
It really has. And I asked you before we came on air, just how are you holding up right now? It's been a lot, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've got this bracelet on, right? 4:13 in Philippians. I can do all things in the Lord who strengthens me. You remind yourself that every day, right? You find yourself kind of clinging to the good, right? Another thing I pray every day is, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can say to that mountain, move, and it will move from here to there, and nothing will be impossible. That's what gets you through the day. How are we holding up? You look back sometimes only to see how far you've come. And I think that's how we get through is, we remember the day when we got the phone call, which was Mother's Day. And I remember getting to the hospital and being told to say our goodbyes.
Yes.
And, on the floor, throwing up, and then, making a lot of promises that day, right? Like, please, God, if you just give him the gift of life, that's all I want. And then it's, make it through another day. And my son is just, he's remarkable. And, but he should, before I get going, it's how am I doing? My wife is incredible, right? She stayed in that hospital room every single night, every single day, continues to take care of him. He's at home.
Yeah.
You know, so first thing in the morning, last thing before bed, you know, she's taking care of him. And it's remarkable. And then my other two kids, you know, Landon, I mean, that happens last summer, right? He's rearranging his football schedule. Shout out to Coach Kramer, Coach Knapp, Coach Polisek, Coach Olson, all those guys for basically telling Landon, like, hey, you know, get your work in. If you have to do double duty,
but do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do and get down to see your parents in Omaha. And my daughter, Grace, she hasn't been on the show, but she played volleyball at St. Thomas.
Yeah.
She was a very good high school volleyball
Last
player.
I knew she was in Nashville.
She's in
right?
Nashville,
okay.
Yeah, I did the show.
You were joining us from Nashville before the
pretty good
Legion
gig,
World Tour, right?
I still think that wins the highlight for like best backdrop.
It's pretty
ever.
good, man. I remember that. It was pretty good, no doubt.
And she just ran a marathon.
Awesome.
You know, so I use that marathon term a lot because where are we? And I just told you, like, for Bo's recovery, it's hockey playoffs, right? And I don't think we've hit the first Zamboni break. I really don't. And if we're running a marathon, I've never ran one, but I imagine that when you run one, that you want to skip ahead, right?
I would imagine, yeah.
Like you're running and you see a hill and it's like, man, if I could just skip this part.
Yeah.
And I think that we have a lot of those feelings with Bo. But, you know, patience and prayer and belief that you got to believe in your kid.
Yeah.
You know, and you got to believe in this team that we put around him.
So the accident happened, you mentioned, last May. And I distinctly remember finding out about, like, Mike, I think we talked maybe the day 2 days after, just a quick text message. You know, you got enough for it just to tell me what's up. But you spent 2 months in Omaha, then another 4 months at Craig Hospital in Denver, and then tell us about when you got the message that, hey, he's gonna be able to come home. What was that? What was that day like?
Well, at first, believe it or not, you're terrified to leave. You are, because when they start talking about sending you home, you're looking at the day-to-day saying, oh, you think we can do this at home?
Of what
how
he's
do you
been doing,
expect
right?
we're going to do this at home?
Yep.
And they throw a lot at you. You know, you have they're bringing vans over to your house. They're asking if your home has been remodeled. They're asking, if you know how to. You know, Bo has a feeding tube. Good news is we only use it for water. He's eating.
That's awesome.
He was taking so much medication, and I remember thinking, "You're going to send us home with this many medications," but it's amazing. You know, God works miracles, right? So, first of all, fantastic community support. Some of the best people in the world working on our home. Karen's friends, my dear friends, you know, fixing the garage up so we can fit our huge van. Because Bowden's 6'3", he's not going to fit in a minivan. And remodeling our bathroom and getting things straightened out so that we didn't even think about it. Karen was picking out tiles. It was a good distraction for her. But I just thought, it's going to work out. And here's what's really amazing. By the time we left, we were ready to get home. I drove the van home with my 3 dogs in it, no cruise control, no radio, long story. But I pulled in our cul-de-sac in Timberline, and I saw a Get Well Bowden sign in someone's yard, and made my heart melt, right? Because it's like, we're home, right? I didn't realize that I was about to see about 200 more.
No kidding.
As we drove into the property. And since we've been home, Bo hasn't taken but an Advil. He's cut down probably 80% of his medications. Wow. No sleeping medications. He was taking sleeping meds to get through the night in the hospital. And that home is healing, I think, is real. Familiar sights, familiar sounds. He has visitors a lot. And we've remade our schedule, and we've remade it in what an athlete would want. Athlete's going to want to go to the gym.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And I looked at Bo and said, the day we got home, it was a Thursday, I believe, and we went to 3 hours of therapy on Friday. We'll figure it out, right? And people are like, well, you're not going to do this at home? No, we can get Bo to the gym. And this is what he would want to do. He would not want to be home all day long. And we never missed a day of therapy, even with all that crazy weather. We're going to make this happen. and kind of quit saying we're going to the hospital. We go to the gym.
Yeah.
We kind of quit saying we're going to therapy. We're going to work out. Yesterday, I told him we got upper body, lower body today, buddy. You know, I think that's what he's going to want to hear, and he's getting there. You know, he's doing a lot of things with the word they call is volition, so it's intentional.
Okay.
And we think about, again, you look back to see how far you've come. Those days where we would just stare.
Yeah.
And just, you know, please God, if you just let him move his leg, you know, half an inch, I'll never ask for anything more. And then now he's kicking his leg up, and I want a full leg extension. And I'm just so proud of my family, Dom. I'm just really proud of my family.
It's a traumatic brain injury. I mean, in your mind, you're thinking like, I'm never going to be able to. He's not going to be able to recognize me, speak, you know, any sort of, and that's happened here in 6 months over, because you put out a video every day and I can see it just from afar. What was that like for just to see, like, he's communicating? It might not be verbally, but he understands, and he's trying to communicate with you and your family.
Well, you can about imagine what the feeling's like when you see a smile.
Yeah.
Right?
I can't even, oh.
And I want to hear his voice really, really a lot. You know, my dad died about 3 months before this happened, and in my phone, Bo and my dad are right next to each other, and it's in that favorites tab that pops up all the time, and I'm not touching that, right? And so there's two voices that you just really, really, really want to hear. And we actually did start playing Bo's old post-2 interviews for him.
I saw that, yes.
And I thought, you know, I'm not a therapist. I've gone to a lot of therapy.
But he responded to that.
But he did.
Yeah.
He had a really good reaction.
Yeah.
And I think it tells you, and Bowden's injury is one of one. Every brain injury is different.
Yeah.
So one of the guys that's working with us, Dr. Chris Danderen, he had a great analogy. He said, you know, with Bo's athleticism, so hockey player, baseball player, football player, could, you know, do trick dunks. He was good at whatever he picked up, right?
Yes.
So he said, Bo's like, he came into this with like an 8-lane superhighway upstairs, right? And he said, you know, you come into that with an 8-lane superhighway, and a couple of the highways right now are closed, but you've got some really good potential there just waiting to be unlocked. And I think about that because, you know, it could have been me. It could have been, you know, someone in their 70s and 80s. And if you think about all the issues that you have when you get older, but Bo went in really, really healthy. And I think it's just a matter of time before we see some bigger jumps. But posting every day, that was a January 1st thing.
Yeah, I saw that. Yep.
That was come on, Dad. You know, you need to be brave. You know, and Bowden he's going to have the opportunity to see what he did every day. He can choose to delete the account. That's fine.
Yep.
But I think until it's up to him, I think it's very important that we document what's happened, just in case the memory is foggy and he wants to say, what did we do?
Yeah.
You know, what did it look like? Because I think that can inspire him. And I can't tell you how many people have said that they try themselves to get 1% better each day in their own life.
Have you found, you have time for a few more minutes here because we got to break. Have you gone back to watch from January 1? Have you scrolled back and done that, or no?
Me, no.
Yeah.
But I've seen some pictures that, you know, have come across, you know, even back when we were at Craig.
Yeah.
And back when we were in Denver, in Omaha, you know, just waiting for, like, his eyes to open.
Yes.
And then one eye opened and one eye didn't for weeks and weeks and weeks, and you just wonder, is that eye going to open? I remember standing, you know, at his hospital bed because you could hear the breathing pick up in the middle of the night. I didn't have to see the heart rate monitor. I could hear it. And my wife and I, we'd go each grab a limb. She'd take the left leg, I'd take the right leg, because he was doing what was called neurostorming, which is the body's kind of fight or flight reaction, you know, not knowing what he was doing, and it would cause him to shake. And of course, we didn't want his heart rate to spike. Yep. So we remember all those days, you know, and now we see the old Bowden coming back with a 12-hour weekend sleep, you know, just... It's like, don't touch me, you know. We watch that heart rate, you know, 40, resting heart rate of 40. I'm like, okay, athlete, mine's 62 and I'm sound asleep.
Right.
And so I'm kind of a look forward guy. But there will come a time. Sure.
Yeah.
We do Throwback Thursday photos. So I get a chance to look back. I just kind of skip back into the teens and, when he was maybe 9 or 10 and throw something fun out there.
Let's break. I want to come back and talk about what's going on this weekend. Again, this community never ceases to amaze me and what is going on to help the Meier family. We'll do that. Chris is joining us in studio. Hot Mic rolls on. We're back right after this. All right, back here with Chris Meier joining us. So this Sunday, there'll be a benefit going on for Bo. You're wearing the shirt. I really appreciate you bought one here for me. This is like specially designed for I can hold this up in front of the camera. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
With the Bison football colors.
Bo's silhouette is in the
I
O.
see that there with the number 3, obviously. Yeah. That's fantastic because obviously your other son, Landon, plays on the Bison football team. Tell us about what's going on this Sunday night.
Sure. Sunday night, brainchild of Karen's friends. They asked if we were on board for doing something for Bo. And I think I told you when I got here, it's like when you texted me and you want to stop by, you just ask yourself, is this good for Bo? If the answer is yes, don't overthink it. Mm-hmm. And so for the benefit for Bowdoin, is this good for Bo? Yes. And what we have going on is at St. Anna Joachim, 4 to 7. So big Catholic church on 25th and 52nd. Yep. There's going to be T-shirts that people can purchase. All the proceeds go to Bo. There's going to be a bake sale. All the proceeds go to Bo. There's a silent auction that's up right now. So if you go to lendahan.org and then go into the auctions tab, there's items already up there, and it's amazing. I think we've got the Jacksonville State game.
Oh, wow, okay.
We've got the Northern Illinois game, and we've got the Nevada game.
Nice.
With some sideline passes.
There you go. Yeah.
We have a Twins suite. We have the Lynx coming up. We've got a trip to Cabo, a trip to Hawaii. And, again, these are all just people that Fargo community just stepped up. And I think it's a testament to the community, but also to my son.
Yes.
I think Bowdoin, I kind of joked the other day, he went to 4 proms his junior year, and I think he went to 3 his senior year. And I gave him such a hard time his junior year. I said it was the Bowdoin Slam. I'm like, who does that? But then you think about that and how easy it was for him to connect with.
Yes. Yep.
I'd be in the stands and like, those darn Mustangs, and Bo would be, loving these guys and afterwards, right?
Yep.
And made those connections. And so I think there's so much of this community web that is connected to Bo or my wife or my family in some way, shape, or form. And all I can say is thank you. And we will get to another side of our mountain. Mm. And if anybody knows me, I'm going to find time to give back. They say time, talent, and treasure. I'm going to find that time and talent somehow, right? And treasure. But when I think of like how you can really help people, it's can you go volunteer and go do things. So this weekend, it's probably more about community love, support, raising money for Bo's independence, because that's what it's for. We got him independent once. Yeah. We're going to do it again. This time, though, it might require some different things that insurance doesn't cost, and we just want Bo to have the best possible recovery ever. It's up to his mom and me to do that. Yeah. We're responsible for that. So people have wanted to help. What can I do to help? Well, you can come to the benefit,
there you go.
Right?
Right.
And then if you can't, you can pray, or you can just send love. We think that matters. And for every dollar I feel like's been raised, I feel like there's 1 million prayers that have been said. Yeah. I've had people say that's the first prayer they say when they wake up in the morning, the last one they say when they go to bed. Powerful stuff, right?
Yes, no doubt. Yes.
And it's working so far. And I know your audience probably is like, wow, there's a lot of prayer talk. But you know what? I think it matters a lot. And for everybody out there that has kids, I always tell people, don't imagine it. Like people say, I can't imagine what you're going through. Don't. Take that energy and just don't take it for granted, right? Yeah. And we said before when we were in break, something we never really thought about was like taking our kids for granted. We loved every second of it.
We were at every second of it with you and Karen both. I would see you guys wherever. You know, I mean, I don't think. I mean, I'm speaking for it. I don't think there was any time where you're like, I wish we could have done that. You didn't. You were everywhere, as far as I can remember or know.
We've seen this whole countryside. We've seen championship games. Yeah. I've been so nervous I could puke.
Here, I will tell you this personally, and this isn't about me at all, but the Citadel game, the first Bison football game of the year, we're wrapping up and stuff, and I saw you. And I hadn't seen you since it happened. And I almost started losing it right there, and I'm still kind of working, and I'm like, I just ran over and gave you a hug. I'm like, man, I didn't know what to say. And for anybody that knows me, for me not to be able to know to say anything, that takes a lot. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, we were in the middle, and you're talking about taking stuff for granted. We're in the middle of working and whatever. Maybe something go right. And I saw you. I'm like, well, none of that matters. Right. Look what this guy's dealing with right now. You know?
That was
an interesting. Came over and gave me a big hug. It's like, man,
I remember that hug, and those are ones that you remember.
Yeah.
I got one from Coach Napoli too, the strength coach. I got one.
Well, that one he could break you with him. He gives you a hug. Yeah.
Well, Coach Polisek that day too. I remember we were watching the team run by, and Coach P caught me out of the corner of his eye, and I hadn't seen him either since this all went down, and stopped and gave me a big hug. And Landon got some action that day.
Yes.
And I remember getting the call from Coach Polisek, and I'm not going to try to do an imitation, but are you going to the Citadel game? And I thought, we're sitting in the Denver, Colorado diner. We were planning to go to all the games, all right, well, even if you don't go, Landon's earned it. He's traveling to that game. Hopefully you guys can make it. Hung up the phone. My wife and daughter were there, and I said, well, we're getting tickets to Charleston, South Carolina. Like, we're not missing this.
Yeah.
And it was the first time we had been away from Bowdoin together, and since it happened, but it felt really good. We've got, like I said, we've got Bowdoin's twin brother, who, by the way, is so steadfast in his faith in Bo's recovery. No one surpasses the belief that Landon has, and
that twin connection, right?
Oh yeah. Leading Bible study or one of the leaders of Bible study. I go to church with him every Sunday. Landon and I go, and just watching his faith grow and how he looks at Bo. And I always say, like, Landon, maybe you should say more stuff to Bo. I'm always trying to figure out, like, how can we fast forward this, right?
Yep.
And Landon treats Bo the same way he did. He feels like it's very important that he doesn't touch him, he doesn't put his hands on him a lot. That he talks to him. Gives him crap.
Like they did before the accident.
Like they did before the accident. And I would not be shocked if that's what's going to get Bo to say, like, knock it off or whatever it's going to be. That would not shock me. So anyhow, Sunday 4 to 7, St. Anna Joachim. The live auction's up. Cool items on there for sure.
I'm not going to say what you just told me to say. I love you. Thanks so much for doing this. Keep your head up and know that there's a ton of people rooting for you and your family for something really, really positive to come soon.
Well,
all right?
Only you could I keep this together for this long.
You did it, man. I've almost lost it.
I cry all the time, man, but I love you too. I only hope the best for you personally and your family. That. And I say this every time. I'm really glad that you're here.
I appreciate that. And thanks so much for coming by. I'm glad you're here as well. Chris Meier joining us here in studio. Again, auction is going on for his son, Bo. St. Anna and Joachim Catholic Church, right by Shanley, 4 to 7 on Sunday night. We'll break. We come back. I don't know how we're going to roll from there, but Goetzinger's got to come in after this. So I don't know how he's going to live up to that. But
he's pretty good.
He'll join us when we start our second hour of Hot Mic. We'll do that right after this.
This is Hot Mic.
Hot Mic.
On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Let's take a moment and talk about bunions. The original line read as this: bunions. You may have heard of them. That was my original line.
Hey, thank you, Dom. Johnny Cool Guys there with the sunglasses on.
That was off the dome
to the west of
when
Illinois.
I'm looking on it, like west. I shouldn't say right and left. Is that Missouri?
That is Missouri.
Yes.
That is
underneath
Missouri.
Iowa. Oh, I'm getting good at this.
He's coming.
So we're going to like the bottom peninsula region.
Peninsula?
Okay, we're going to come back on the ETSU tailgate and then go to you. How am I going to go from a tailgate to bunions.
Okay, good deal.
Let's take a moment and talk about bunions.
Our guy, Sam Goetzinger, is here. There's no easy way to transition from what we just had, but
Right.
I will say you called the South Shanley boys hockey state championship win in triple overtime. Was that 23 or 24?
That would have been 23. That was my first year.
And obviously both Landon
both
and Bo both played on that team. So I know you know the Meier family as well. And that's a moment that will live with that family forever.
Absolutely. That was one heck of a game. And, I mean, even then, played football, baseball, covered them with Shanley football for a little bit. That is a very, very athletic family, and especially a very athletic duo of those twins. And you could tell in that last segment that's just a great family. It's super, super heartbreaking to follow along with that story and hear what happened. But like he said, just pray and hope for the best, and just to see how far that Bo has come is fantastic. And we're all pulling for him.
When I heard what happened, we did the show that Monday, and I thought, I don't know if he's going to make it. Bo's going to make it a couple days. Like, they were feared for his life, and here we are a year later, and he's already made the amount of progress he's had that I got to hope that you're going to hear his voice again sometime, and that will be amazing. And our thoughts are with the Meier family here. There's no easy way to segue, so I'm just going to do it anyway. We got a heck of a night on tap here for the Minnesota professional sports teams, which I led the show with that stat that neither have advanced in the same year to the second round ever. But granted, when you think about it, the Wolves were bad for a while, and the Wild had stretches where they didn't make the playoffs for like 5 years in a row. So here we are.
It always seemed like
tonight.
Too, it was either one or the other, and now over the last couple of seasons, both seem to have done pretty well, but not to the capacity they're in right now. So I think this could be a pretty fun, and I like that it's staggered. You can go from one to the other, and maybe there's a little crossover in there, but I think it's going to be a pretty fun night.
All right, give us your Wild Stars breakdown here. Minnesota, I think, has been the better team. It sounds obvious since they're up 3-2, but I think the Wild have just been better than Dallas so far, right?
I agree. Even in the games that went into overtime, that first one that went into double overtime,
Game 3,
Dallas was trying to give that game away, and just for
Wild
some
won
reason,
for 7 on the power play.
For some reason, Minnesota just didn't feel like just taking it and going. And then, of course, there was that costly penalty by the rookie Urov, and that resulted in the game-winning goal for Dallas. I don't think we'd be in this situation. I strongly think they should have won that game. And then in the other overtime game, they turned on the Jets a little bit more and got the job done.
They didn't even rally there.
That was late. That was late in that first overtime period. I thought we were going double again, and it seems like anytime they go to Dallas, should just play all their games at Dallas. They have luck down there.
Game 1 and Game 5, they've been the way better team.
They've turned down the crowd in Dallas and have looked really impressive. And I think Matt Boldy,
superstar.
If not before, I think he solidified himself as top 10 player in the league.
I would go there.
If not even higher. Based off of what he did in the regular season, then the Olympics, and what he's doing now. Oh, man, he is just unbelievable. And he was great coming out of college a couple years back.
See, there's a homegrown guy they drafted, they developed, and became the best. That's what you want. I would love to see the Twins do that occasionally to actually have that happen.
I think he was one of those deals where his college season ended. They yanked him on for the rest of the rest of the season that they had for the Wild, and he's stuck ever since. He's been phenomenal. Jesper Wallstad is unbelievable in goal too.
I was championing he be the guy, and that was the right decision. I thought that was the absolute right decision. It's paid off there.
I think there's no way they're in this series without him.
No.
And Jake Ottinger on the other side for Dallas is phenomenal too. He's been making some unbelievable saves, but just Minnesota's gotten an extra push on him. I think tonight, tonight, and if it goes to a Game 7, it could be it's still anybody's ball game, I feel like. But I do agree with you. Minnesota is the better team right now.
I think the Wild are they are the better team that they end this tonight.
Yeah,
they win this thing tonight.
I'm just not ready to count out Dallas yet.
Yeah,
even though I want to. I'll tell you that much. I want to count them out, but I don't know if I can.
The hardcore hockey fans that remember the North Stars and all that, boy, that would be pretty sweet if they're able to beat Dallas.
Well, you got to figure out how to stop them on the power play, because
you just can't. You got to stay out of the box.
Dallas is just killing them on the
Yeah,
power
they're
play
lights
on the
out with
skater
that.
advantage. Anytime they get an extra man out there, it just seems like it's goal. And Robertson down low, Jason Robertson
he's
is
got
just
5 goals.
he's got all
Yeah.
the time in the world on the goal line, and that allows
Yep.
him to facilitate anywhere he wants to. And that's been the Achilles heel so far. I think Kaprizov is coming back in this series a little bit.
Yeah, he's not been great.
His
last game was better. Game 5, he was good.
Last game was
Yes.
good, so hopefully
Yep.
that carries on. But yeah, he was invisible there for a little while.
Game 3 was not good at all. The game that they lost in double overtime.
Yep.
So we were talking yesterday on what would you spend like for tonight?
Right.
You know, we got the poll question up. This is Ben. You can bring it up on StubHub. This is at Grand Casino Arena for now. There are tickets available if you wanted to go tonight. So I mean, we're talking upper tank there. $400.
This has definitely jumped since
Yes,
we looked yesterday.
right. Right, because yesterday was what, like 100?
Yeah, it was attainable.
I'm not paying $400 to sit in the upper tank. I don't care. Like maybe in the second round, I would. The first round?
the first round, that's hard.
But the Wild haven't been to the second round in a decade.
That's also a good point. With these prices and where I'm at in my life right now, I wouldn't do it if I'm looking at these ones right now.
Section 119. Look at that, $324. That's not bad. Like,
yeah, why is that? Why is that so different from all around?
Look at By the Ice is $1,000. $1,000.
That's unreal, and I don't even think that's the best view.
I don't think so either.
I don't think
I've been to plenty of hockey games, professional hockey games. You want to sit higher up so you can
maybe
see
this
everything.
is my bold take. I don't think any sporting event being closer is better.
Basketball, I would. Yeah, if you're courtside, man, that's pretty good.
I haven't been. I've been courtside, but I haven't
Not
been
for
courtside
professional
to
basketball.
spectate a game. I wouldn't do that. I think my max for a first round game like this, if I was in the Twin Cities, had nothing to do, I wouldn't go over 200.
Well, you're not getting in the building then tonight.
Yesterday, I might have been able to get into the nosebleeds, but today that's not happening.
We'll look at the Wolves here in the commercial break, because I can't even imagine what that is. If that's what it's like for that, the Timberwolves is going to be even higher.
Oh, absolutely.
For their
we were
game
looking
tonight.
yesterday. Courtside was a couple grand.
Yep.
Even if you go from one seat to the other, that's a couple grand difference. It's a $1,500 it's a $1,500 difference. It was insane. I wouldn't do that.
But that's the fun part about what tonight is at stake. And I know for a lot of Minnesota sports fans, they're thinking completely negative. Like both are going to lose. Certainly the Timberwolves are going to lose because their two best players or two of their best players are out, and
that's like
Denver's going to win, and they're going to lose in Game 7.
Not a winning recipe there for the Wolves, absolutely.
But you can think positively that, hey, maybe both can do if this happens and they both win tonight.
When was the last time a Minnesota sports fan thought positively and it worked? Let's be honest. Any other team, the Twins, the Vikings,
and it worked.
And it worked. Let's be real on that. The Minneapolis Miracle, maybe.
Because everyone thought the game was over, but the Saints were going to win.
That's a fair point.
Off of that, I will say everyone thought positively after they beat the Saints. That whole week leading up to the NFC Championship game, because the Super Bowl was in Minneapolis. Like, this is our destiny. We're gonna crush Philly because Carson Wentz is hurt and Nick Foles is bad. We're gonna go. We're gonna win. We're gonna host the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
And then the game happened.
That's what I'm thinking.
Actually, the Vikings went up 7-0, and then the game happened.
It's just safer for Minnesota sports fans at this point to think you're not winning any of their series, and then be surprised when it happens.
You're probably right.
I think the Wild, obviously, the Wild have a better chance than the Wolves.
So the Jack Man's official predictions, I asked him.
Oh yeah,
and he doesn't know. Yeah. Just, hey, Jack, who's going to win tonight? So I said, Jack, who's going to win tonight? The Stars or the Wild? Stars. Jack, who's going to win tonight? The Timberwolves or the Nuggets? Nuggets. I'm like, come on, buddy.
See,
really?
more Minnesota sports fans should be on Jack's page.
He's 6.5.
I think
he's clued
I think
in.
he knows what's going on.
I'm like, really, buddy? Both are going to lose? Yep.
that was it, huh? Yeah, how much easier would our lives be if we could just have shorter explanations like that? Just take our word.
Well, this show would be a heck of a lot shorter. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah,
if that's not going to work.
Denver, Dallas is going to win. Let's leave it at that. No, I think the Wild have a really good shot tonight. That's going to be a really cool building. I'll still call it the X. That's going to be a really cool building if they pull it out.
So last night, Philly advanced over Pittsburgh. The Avalanche are sitting there waiting for 2 weeks.
Did you catch that game?
I saw the game-winning goal.
Yeah,
that's all I saw.
It was a boring game for.
Yeah, it was 0-0.
Pretty much 4 periods, and then right in the final second, they got it done.
I flipped on overtime, and I got to see the Flyers win, and I did not make it to the end of the Utah-Vegas game last night, where Vegas won it on a shorthanded goal in double overtime.
I didn't even make it to the beginning of that game, so that's news to me.
Well, it started at 10 o'clock.
It did,
so,
yeah.
Vegas is now up 3-2 on that. Real quick, we'll go to break because I want to talk some golf with you. There are probably people tonight that are going to do both, right?
See, I was thinking about that and like that
because the Wolves game is going to start till 8:50, right? Because they have the slide for television. So halftime is what, 10 o'clock? So the game will be over by then. You can get to both.
I mean, unless you're loaded, then you have to do a lot of planning. It's just how much of the Wolves game do you want to watch?
Watch the second half.
When are you going to leave the Wild game? How hard is it going to be to leave the Wild game?
How far is it from Target Center to the X?
I mean,
20 minutes?
Well, consider that, though, with traffic in the cities. That's
25.
Yeah, okay.
I'd
give it a half hour.
All right.
And plus leaving is a pain, and then parking at the Target Center is bad.
It's not great.
It's not great.
It's not ideal.
It's in the middle of everything.
And the Twins are playing tonight, too.
Oh, okay. Well, then, I mean...
Hundreds of people are going to be at Target Field tonight for that.
Well, that takes up hundreds of parking spots that you would want for the Target Center.
There's nobody going to be at the baseball game tonight.
There's no chance. How much are those tickets going for?
That's a ticket. You want to get in? It's $5.
That's a ticket I could probably afford.
The Twins are probably saying, what time can you be here?
Yeah, right.
We'll
adjust around your schedule. You just let us know when you can come.
Let's break. When we come back, Sam's our resident golf guru. He's going to give us the lowdown on the Live Tour. Looks like it's donezo. It's a big PGA Tour weekend as well. We'll chat with that and a few other things with Sam as we come back after this. All right, we got the StubHub is up here for Target Center. This is actually not bad.
Yeah. Well, depending on where you are.
So, if you want to go upper tank tonight, Sam, it's $100.
I would do that.
I would do that now if I could.
Yep.
$115. I'd sit up there. Now you're a ways away.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've sat up there. That's fine.
Tell me you don't want to go for the $3,000 on the court.
See,
yeah.
There's two left for $3,000. But you're right there. You're right across.
See,
you're
now
staring at Nikola Jokic.
Those seem like they went down from yesterday because I think yesterday we were looking. It was like $4,000 for the one behind the visitors bench.
Explain this to me. Why is it cheaper to get into the Wild than it is the Wolves, or the Wolves than the Wild? Why is that?
It's because the NHL is way more exciting. Let's just get that out there. Plus, the Wild have a chance to win.
Well, so do the Wolves.
Wow.
We got the Sumo go nuts.
Let's be realistic.
I don't know. That's
I would even do like 210 and 122. That's not bad.
Here's what I threw out to start the show, and I'll end the show with this with our poll question. If the Colts make it to the Super Bowl and you have the opportunity, you and your dad say, "Hey, we can go."
Yep.
What would be the threshold to say would you automatically go? Like that's it is for the Jets. Money would be of no object. If they're there, I've told my dad we're going. I'm taking him with me, and I'm subjecting him to see the Jets play.
I'm in the same boat.
Yes.
I think I would do that. I think it would depend on more travel and what that would look like. How much is that going to rack up the bill?
Everything's out of the way.
Oh, then 100% I'll be there. There's no doubt.
But I'm saying, would you move hell or high water to go? Is that would be it?
I tried to for a preseason game when the Colts were playing the Vikings. I put together a presentation to get my dad there, and for some reason he turned it down because he's not a preseason guy.
Well,
but I was
who
like,
is?
well, how many times are we going to see the Colts at U.S. Bank Stadium? I don't care if it's the Scrubs playing or not. Let's go.
Well, you could have gone to the greatest comeback in NFL history game.
I was anchoring the news that day, and that was the worst day I had in a long time. I'll tell you that much.
That would be it. Like, there's no other sporting event that would, at least for me, that it's a money is of no object. It would be if the Jets made it to the Super Bowl, I will be there. I've made that commitment since I'm 6 years old. They've stunk for 40 years. That would be it if they were to.
I would say that, or in a slightly smaller scale, anytime the Colts come to Minneapolis, for a regular season game, I guess, I would try to do that.
I've done that, like when the Mets came to Target Field and snowed on me. I made that. I've done that. They'll be back next year. I'm going to take the Jack
You're
Man.
Go to that
absolutely.
One?
Yep. And that's a way smaller scale.
Right.
Like I've told Courtney, like, just so you know, if this ever happens, I'm going.
Mm-hmm. Well, first try to get credentials and then go from there.
No, you can't do that. I want to enjoy the game.
You want to go as a fan?
Yes, absolutely.
See, I think that's where
could not do it if I'm working. No
I've
way.
been lucky enough in my life where pretty much 95% of the sporting events I've gone to, I have gone to in a credentialed form.
Yeah.
I think I was thinking about this on my drive in. I've maybe paid for like 4 games or something in my life, which is like I've been lucky for that, but it is a much different when you're
working.
Yeah,
I mean, I could like the Vikings Eagles game. I was at the NFC Championship, even the Super Bowl. I went to cover the Eagles Patriots, which was a thing I wanted to do since I was a kid. I was still working. It was still a different deal when you're there. Like if as a fan, I would be unabashedly
right.
Like, let's
do it.
Go,
yeah.
Right?
Be hooting and hollering,
right?
that's for sure. I
don't know how much hooting and hollering I do,
that.
depending on who's there, but that would be the difference there.
That's funny. You think the Colts will make the Super Bowl again, but we can cross our fingers.
You think that's funny? The Jets haven't been there since 1969.
Oh, did you see your draft class you just put together?
Yeah.
You might do it.
I'm not even going to go down that road. Give us the lowdown, because you're a great golf mind, and I wanted to do this last week, and we just got sidetracked with the draft and all that. Wall Street Journal had a story yesterday that apparently the Saudis are pulling. If the Saudis are getting out of their money, that means this is a bad deal. That Live Golf is donezo.
I believe. I want to say it's done, and frankly, I'm not extremely surprised because how many of these competing leagues, when a league is formed to compete with one of the major professional leagues, how many of those have been successful? Zero.
Not
right?
many. No.
XFL, UFL, USFL, whatever. None of them have worked, and. They had a decent run. Now, from what I've been reading, it seems like they're not ready to pack up their bags and go home just yet. They're waiting for some hero to come in with all the money in the world and
if the Saudis
save
are
them.
out, then come on.
Because they were putting in $1 billion a year.
Man.
And they have lost $5 billion since 2022. If an investor's looking at that from the outside, that's not a smart move.
I'm not a great economic mind, but I don't think that works.
Me either, but I wouldn't do that, seeing how much they've lost. There just hasn't been the market for this type of golf.
Here's the thing. I watch golf. I don't know where they're on. I've never watched a round on television ever. And the guys that left have proven now to be irrelevant. Like John Rahm and DeChambeau left, and
it just hasn't been the same.
Right?
They're still great players, but it's
I
just.
think Rahm's game has gone south.
I would agree. I think
fine.
DeChambeau's taken a step back, but it's not as steep of a drop as a Dustin Johnson, if you will, who's completely gone.
Yeah.
And he was winning the Masters by a historic rate in 2020. That wasn't too long ago. And even if you watch Live on TV, it's not a great viewing experience.
So the sell of Live was it's 3 rounds. Guys can wear shorts. There's music blaring
everywhere.
Which I'm no golf purist, but I do like the parts of the game that I enjoy are none of that.
Right.
Exactly. I enjoy a 4-round event. I enjoy the quietness of it. I enjoy the competitive nature of it, and it just didn't seem like that had any of it.
And the big thing too is they were going for a team aspect, which really once you're out of high school and college,
the only team stuff I like is the Ryder Cup and occasionally the President's Cup. That's it.
It's hard to put that together for a complete season like they've been trying to do. And now the question is, with those guys that you mentioned, with Bryson and John Rahm and the rest of their roster, what's going to happen to them when ultimately we believe this is going to fold up? Brooks Koepka and Patrick Reed have already come back.
So Reed has to sit out a year, though? Is that what I read?
So Reed is going through there was a returning players program. Now, it is to my understanding that he and Koepka decided to go through that program, and there's rules to coming back into the PGA Tour. But I think that program expired in February.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
It was like a transfer portal deal, and now that window's closed. So that leaves DeChambeau and Rahm with some questions.
SOL,
the PGA Tour is going to do everything they can to get those 2 guys. I believe that because those are big names.
Yes.
It's going to draw revenue and crowds,
but probably not with some significant penalties attached.
Oh,
to
absolutely.
Each of them,
like Koepka had to make a $5 million donation to charity. He's out of player equity for the rest of the year, and he can't compete for the PGA Championship. And Reed, I think, is just taking his suspension and playing on the DP World Tour until the fall, and then he can come back. I think the PGA tries to go after the top 2 guys, DeChambeau and Rahm.
Right,
but that leaves a lot of other really good golfers still up in the air that, like Joaquin Niemann, I think is probably the best player in live golf.
God, there's another guy I forgot. Cam Smith, another one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think Niemann made the most in career earnings in live golf just with their competition. Yeah. What's he going to do? Is he going to go DP World Tour? Does he have to qualify to get back on the PGA Tour or pay a bunch of penalties? I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
I'll say this for our guy, Tom Hoagie, who got overtures to go and said no. Smart,
looking
smart
like a genius
there.
Everybody who decided to say, I was kind of bumping back and forth. Like, who's the smart guy in this situation? DeChambeau got $300 million in a signing bonus for the people who decided to stay on the PGA Tour.
I mean, it's easy to sit here with $300 million. I mean, come on, but knowing where the money came from, at least in my mind,
and your reputation and your golf game is taking a step back. Who's the real winner in this situation?
Last thing, we're going to hear you tomorrow. You're on the call.
Yes.
You got Bison softball tomorrow, correct?
Yes, I do. South Dakota State's in town. Actually, a really big weekend all across the Summit League. I was trying to do the math on everything. I think only Omaha's the one team that's like solidified as the number one spot. NDSU could go from 2 to 5. UND's in the last spot. They can make the tournament
because
depending on their weekend.
Go to the Summit League tournament next week.
There could be a lot of moving around, so this is going to be a fun weekend of softball, and we'll have the game tomorrow.
So we see you tomorrow, 3 o'clock on Extra. Then we've got Bison baseball following that at 6:30. Myself and Mike Scogan will be on the call at Newman. Looks like we're finally going to play baseball.
I know, right?
We've tried to do it like 3 other times.
Yeah, you're right. 3-4 times.
So it'll be nice to actually to do that tomorrow. Great stuff, Bob. Thanks for coming by.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk to you next week.
No problem.
Sam Goetzinger joins us each and every Thursday at 10. You'll hear Sam tomorrow with Bison, South Dakota State softball. We'll break. We come back. Jory Collins will join us on the news of the NCAA basketball tournament set to expand a year too late as it was for the Bison women. We'll do that when Hot Mike returns right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Final half hour here on a busy Thursday show. Tomorrow, don't forget, Corey Provis will join us. Twins are open up their series with Toronto tonight. Make sure you join us for that. Speaking of baseball, our next guest, we had to rip away from the diamond as he's got finally some time away from the basketball court watching his son tear it up for the Horace Hawks baseball team. Great to have NDSU women's basketball coach Jory Collins join us on a Thursday at 10:30 where he normally joins us during the basketball season to chat some things going on in the offseason. How's baseball? Seems like it's going A-OK right now for the old Hawks.
Man, they're doing well. They're playing well. They got great coaches, great group of upperclassmen. Just a pretty solid baseball team, Dom. So they got good pitching, hitting it well. Things, you know how baseball is, though.
No doubt.
It could be a day-to-day basis. So you ride when it's going well. You try to ride it as long as you can.
Are you? Do you have to sit by yourself when you watch Jet play? Are you around other people, or do you got any solitude?
Sometimes I'm usually pretty quiet, and then occasionally I say things I shouldn't. And I got in trouble a few weeks ago, so I've been pretty silent. Been pretty silent the last couple of weeks. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay, we'll go there. The Royals are. What's going on with your Royals, by the way? What's that about?
Well, so I really thought we were going to be good this year. And
so
I still
did I
think
with
they
the
will.
Mets.
There's a lot of time left, and they just heated up recently. They had a 3-game sweep. I think they lost last night, but they're starting to play better. Had great pitching early. Couldn't hit a lick. Our 3-4, Salvi and Vinny are like batting 150. And Bobby wasn't getting on base as much. Yeah. But it's there. I think over the course they're going to get back and be in the middle. I don't think the Central's very good, so
it is not.
I think they're going to be as bad as they've played. They're only like 2.5 games or 3 games out, so it's going to be a full summer.
So you're my Kansas City mind here. What do we make of what the Royals' new stadium? Obviously, the Chiefs are going to Kansas. Are you because everything's right there? I know there's a ton of people, Jory, that have gone down and see it. What do you make of what's going on here?
It was so unique the way they have it now with both the stadiums right beside each other. And so the tailgating there is just probably second to none. I haven't been to a lot of other stadiums, but as far as just a vast, huge cement parking lot with people cooking food and drinking beer. Great. I mean, it's as good as it gets. Back in the day, the thing they don't have there that was going to be unique, Don, was they were supposed to have a rolling roof. When they first did it, that was going to be able to,
I didn't know that.
On wheels that was going to roll over from Kauffman to Arrowhead, and they never finished that. And they've upgraded those stadiums. They're both still really nice. I get the intrigue with the Royals going downtown, and the location that I think they settled on, I think I read the other day, is going to be great. It's just going to be different because just going out there to that complex you came around the hill on I-70, and then both stadiums are right there. And then I don't know, the Arrowhead Stadium's kind of, it's got a legacy there. It's been there a long time, one of the oldest ones. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the new one on the Kansas side.
Yeah. Kaufman, I've been to a couple times. It's just fantastic. Especially when they renovated it. It's one of the best.
It's
in
a great place to watch a game.
Yes.
Just the sidelines and all that stuff are really good.
I could talk other stuff with you all day, but I want to talk some business here. We haven't talked to you since we found out majority of the team is coming back, which I know is not news to you, but for viewers and listeners out there, Jory, describe the conversations, I guess. Were there any with the team, or was it just implied that we knew everybody was going to come back?
Yeah, I mean, we had ongoing conversations, Dom. I mean, throughout. I mean, there's people there's kids on our team that, I talked to multiple times, and, there just wasn't any indication that any of the group that stayed was going to leave at all. And I was comfortable with that all the way back in January, February, March. I know the perception and then, speculation and people assuming, and, I get that that's part of it, but that's also frustrating for them too. If you just got to answer those questions, and it's like, people are like, why do you have to put out a post that you're coming back? Well, because a lot of people are asking questions. That's why. I don't really want to have to answer 1,000 fans individually. We can put this out there and say we're all coming back, and just kind of put a stamp on it. And so as soon as we, made that choice and we knew we were going to all stay together, it was, pretty easy to put something out and just let people know. And obviously very grateful. I mean, we got a great group. We had a great year this year. It was a lot of fun. I think this group enjoyed it. And obviously, the run it back slogan. I mean, why not? You get to keep it together and enjoy it again.
How much did that make for easier nights for you to sleep then over the last 2 months of the season, knowing that?
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of friends that coach and people that are trying to put together full teams and go get 6, 7, 8, or 9. That can be a daunting task. I mean, it's very stressful. It's very time consuming. Timelines, things happen fast. It's visits, it's negotiations. I mean, it's all kinds of things. And we've had to have our share, but not near to the extent as a lot of teams. So yes, it's been a good off season, and I don't pretend like that's the way it's going to be every single time. So I tried to enjoy it as much as possible.
I don't know if you watched it all, but that Columbia team that you saw ended up being pretty darn good, huh?
Yeah, it wasn't a surprise to me that they were going to continue to win. They're just super talented, well coached, and they were on a mission. I mean, you could tell the way they were playing that they were a little chapped. They didn't get in and were out to prove something. So, kudos to them for finishing really great.
Well, that leads to my next point, but the news that came down earlier this week, and I don't know how you feel about it, knowing the kind of team you had with the potential expansion of the tournament. You and I may have talked about this before. I know Dave and I have, that this isn't going, on the men's side, it's certainly not going to benefit the mid-majors, but you have a season like you did this past year, you would have been in with a 76-team format. What do you make of what's going to happen now starting next year?
Yeah, I wish I could give you a real good answer. I don't know what that's going to mean.
Yeah,
Dom, I don't know. I think, I looked at who's the first 4 out and the next 4 out, and we might have been the only mid-major team in that group. So, what does that do differently? Yeah. I don't know. I like the fact that, hey, we would have been in last year. Can we put ourselves in that position again? At our level, you really know it comes down to, hey, you got a 3-game tournament at the beginning of March, and that's where your own opportunity is to take care of business yourself. And if you're putting it in somebody else's hands and it's in the committee's hands, you're probably not going to get the benefit of the doubt being a mid-major unless it's just undeniable. So I don't know that adding, more teams and more spots is going to benefit depending on those net rankings and how all that comes down, to be able to look at it and say, hey, it would have last year, that's great. But you got to put yourself in that spot again.
The fact that how they're going to pair basically the mid-majors against the mid-majors, like a 16 would have to play the other 16, the 15s, half of them would go in. That's not also true, like the spirit of, at least for me, of the tournament, of the mid-majors getting an actual chance to play. You still have to win a game before you actually get into the actual field of 64.
Yeah, I don't like that. Otherwise, let's just have a mid-major tournament then.
Right.
You know what I mean? Let's crown a mid-major champ like FCS football. I mean, that's part of it, is getting the opportunity to go upset somebody.
Yes, absolutely.
And go play a bigger school. And I don't know why, that just means that those P4 schools are going to be playing each other in round one way more often. So, yeah, it's people above my pay grade, Dom, are making these decisions, and I just go where they tell me.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because it's something that's been hammered about. Again, this is something that I don't think you're in the profession. Were people clamoring for this?
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
I don't know any coaches that were clamoring for it. Yeah. I think it's the opportunity to feel like they can create more revenue, which is the end-all be-all of every decision made in athletics, apparently, is what kind of money can we make?
I just don't I don't know how this is going to work, and it'll be really interesting next March to see it come about. Let's talk about your team. You have added a couple here in the offseason. Got a transfer in from Cal State Fullerton. Tell us about Maddie Muniz. We had her on the show a couple weeks ago, and the relationship there and what she can add to your team for next year.
Yeah, Maddie's somebody that kind of had a mutual friend and that knew her family, got a chance to vouch for her in a lot of ways, and somebody that I trust, and obviously fit what we needed. With Amelia Molly moving on, AG graduating, those kind of things. We need perimeter shooting. We shot the ball as a team really well last year from three. Given our inside-out presence, we needed floor spacing, and Maddie's a terrific shooter. Her career's been up and down for her. I think she's had 4 head coaches in 3 years of college. Somebody she committed to and then was different when she got there, and then changed schools, different coach. So hasn't really had a chance to get traction, but the talent's there, and she's going to be great with our team. Fits in perfectly, character-wise, personality-wise. So I'm hoping that she can come in. She's a lefty, 5'10", physical athlete, can get hot from the three-point line. So a real chance to just add some spacing for our team.
For people on the outside, Jory, Molly Lenz's decision, were you clued in on that? And can you give us a little bit of the backstory on her decision to step away?
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, Dom, I'm not super happy about that situation. Just didn't get into grad school here at NDSU. Was planning on playing here next year. Didn't get accepted into grad school, even though she's a 4.0 student. She's all academic, all Summit League, all academic, all district. And I guess there just wasn't enough spots. So I wasn't too pleased with that for her and for us. So she didn't want to play anywhere else. She loved her time here. She's just getting into where she can get into grad school and continuing her education. And one of my favorite players that I've ever got to coach. I mean, Molly was a show up with her lunch pail every day, didn't complain about nothing, and just put her head down and went to work. It was a great teammate and a really good player for us. Obviously, wish we could have had her for one more year.
The offseason is no letdown here. You're going on a trip as well. We heard that come down from the NCAA, that now that's going to be allowed more regularly. Tell us about what's going on with the Bison women this summer.
Yeah, our upperclassmen, brought this to me early in the year about, hey, we got one more year. This would be something we would like to do. So it's a little short-term notice on trying to put something together. But we're going to go to the Dominican the second week of June, play a couple games down there. And people that do those things, the best part about it is you get your 10 full practices in the summer with no restrictions on time. And for us, that's a time when we're usually off. So we'll take some extra time off in June when we get back, but it's a chance to get some of our new players in here and really have kind of a mini camp, kind of a training camp for 2 weeks, and then go play a little bit. And then obviously super opportunity, just team building, chemistry, spend some time together in a fun place. Those are the kind of things that are the foundation for, that can elevate you going into the next season. Those shared experiences that are just great opportunities are things we're trying to take advantage of.
Is that a new locale for you? Have you been there before? Or is this a new spot?
I've been there multiple times. And I like it a lot. Beaches are great. Weather's great. So I'm excited to get our girls there and let them, enjoy some time together.
It's great to see you, bud. Thanks so much for catching up with us. Be well. Enjoy some time on the diamond, and we'll catch up soon, okay?
Okay, thanks, Dom.
There he goes, Jory Collins, NDSU women's basketball head coach, giving us an update on everything going on with his team and also some thoughts on the pending NCAA tournament expansion. We'll take our final break. We come back. We've got some breaking news out of Grand Forks we'll share, and, of course, we'll get our poll question results and get you ready for an Ultimate Sports Thursday. Hot Mic wraps on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KNBN, and Inforum.com right after this. Welcome back, everybody. A little breaking news sounder here brings us back with some news out of Grand Forks that came down about 20 minutes ago. University of North Dakota has announced it is eliminating its men's and women's tennis programs. Statement that came out from Athletic Director Bill Chave says the decision is a financial one. It says over the past 5 years, D1 athletics has experienced more change than the previous 30 years combined. This has required us to adapt to a new landscape by reinventing the way we operate our athletic department, as well as analyzing the existing resources we have and reallocating those resources moving forward. We are grateful for everything our student athletes have contributed to our campus and remain committed to supporting them through this transition. All current tennis student athletes will retain their scholarships for the remainder of their academic careers should they choose to stay at UND. Our guy Brad Schlossman reporting the financials on this. According to UND's most recent NCAA report, men's tennis expenses totaled $428,000. For women's tennis, they totaled $600,000. Revenue coming in for the men, $36,000. For the women, $35,000. So you could see financially wise, it's an easy cut. I mean, emotionally wise and rationally wise, both these teams made the Summit League final just last week in Tulsa. The men and the women were playing for the Summit League Tennis Championships 5 days ago, and now they're done. Brad adds the men's tennis team had about 4 scholarships for an 8-player roster. The women's team had about 8 scholarships for an 8-player roster. That's now 6 teams in the last 11 years UND has cut. Men's and women's tennis, women's hockey, men's and women's swimming and diving, and baseball. So the Summit League's now down to 3 men's teams because Denver's leaving, and Illinois State. There's been a rash of tennis cuts here over the last week. Illinois State, Arkansas, and now North Dakota joining the list. More on that on WDAY Sports coming up tonight at 6. Poll question result, how much would you be willing to spend to see your favorite team in a playoff game? Poll result says over $200, 50% saying they would spend that to see if your team clinch a playoff series. We'll see who's willing to do that tonight. Let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. Pretty simple tonight with what we got going on, although the updated news on the Wolves is not good. They put out a status report. Ayo Dosunmu is on there as questionable with right calf soreness. Bones Highland is on there. Who else going to play for this team tonight? 8:30 on ESPN for Game 6 between the Wolves and Denver. Minnesota wins, they go to the second round. Denver wins, we get a Game 7 on Saturday. Same scenario for the Wild. 6:30 tonight against the Dallas Stars on TNT. The Wild win, they go to the second round and play Colorado. The Stars win, we get a Game 7 on Saturday night in Dallas. And then the Twins are playing tonight. They open up a set with the Blue Jays, 6:30 for that on Twins TV as they start a 4-game set with Bailey Ober throwing tonight for Minnesota. That'll wrap up our show. Thanks to our guests today, to Chris Meier, to Sam Goetzinger, and to Jory Collins. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Get your Red Bulls ready and enjoy what's going to be a crazy night tonight. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. Have a great Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow to recap it all. We'll see you then.